story starts from 1913, where a Siberian American citizen is shown and his name was Seppala. And the weather in Siberia is very bad in winter. The main hero of the movie is Seppala. He was a dog breeder and trainer. It was not so advanced as it is today. And then the people of that area used dog sleds to travel on the ice. Anyway, since Seppala is a dog breeder and trainer, he had a dog farm, and many puppies of Siberian Husky breed were born in her frame. There was one puppy that was much weaker than the other puppies. So Seppala doesn't want to keep the baby in her frame, and tells his wife that it is a weak dog that may not be saved. But his wife wants to give the puppy a chance since he cannot be sled breeder, so he will be raised like a normal dog. And his name is Togo. Time passed and Togo grew up. But Togo was extra distant and evil in nature. There was no order inside him at all. Just like other dogs are afraid of people, but there was no fear in him. Seppala's wife wants to make him a sled dog, but Seppala says no. He does not obey commands. He cannot be turned into a sled dog, and it is time to let him go. It means that if someone wants to keep it as a pet dog, they have to sell it to them. Then Seppala gave Togo to one of his friends. But the next day the same person came to return Togo and said, "It's a devil dog, I can't keep him near me." So the policeman was not happy at all when Togo came back, but his wife was very happy. In fact, his wife loved Togo very much. So the next scene shows Togo being locked in a cage with the rest of the dogs. But what does Togo dig through the ground and come out the other side? Then went to the place where Seppala was sled training the rest of his dogs. But after Togo gets there, all the dog packs lose focus. As a result, Seppala himself drowned. Because of this, Seppala is very upset with Togo. Togo is then locked in a room. But this time he escaped through the window of that room and came out. And again went to the place where Seppala had packed the rest of his sled dogs. So the constable gets upset with Togo and gives it to one of his wife's friends. And the woman says, "I don't go out unless I have to, and the doors and windows of the house are always closed. I will be safe here and can't go out." But soon after Seppala and his wife left the house, Togo broke through the window and ran back to where the cops were keeping the rest of the dogs. The officer was very surprised to see this. How is this possible? As they approached, Seppala saw Togo cutting his leg and bleeding, so he put him on the sled. Because it is jungle, there are wild animals here. Those who smell blood can target and kill Togo. But Togo doesn't want to sit in the sled. He wants to run like the rest of the dogs. For this, the police were forced to tie up Togo with the rest of the dogs. But according to Seppala, Togo's speed is much higher than the rest of the dogs. For this reason, Seppala has to tie Togo first. See Seppala, he has more speed here too. And Togo was very intelligent. Togo came home before all the dogs. So Seppala was very surprised to see this. His wife says, "Look, it's no ordinary dog. It's a leader sled dog." Because Togo can lead the way as well as speed of all dogs. So Togo is led by a police dog. Then there were as many sled champions in Alaska. Seppala wins in all cases. And Seppala and Togo became very popular. Time passes slowly. And 12 years passed. The next scene shows Togo growing up. So Seppala comes towards the city with his dog team. Then he came to know that a deadly diphtheria disease had spread in the city, which is affecting the children more. For this the mayor calls a meeting where the police also go. Then it was said from the meeting, there is a cure for this disease, which is in non-city, which is 600 kilometers from here. And due to bad weather it is not possible to bring by helicopter. The officer was then asked about the season. And Seppala said, "I was returning from the side of the hill today. Then I saw a storm and it was slowly coming towards our city. And my dog Togo saw the storm and ran to me. This is the first time I have seen Togo afraid in 12 years. So if Togo is afraid of a typhoon, we should also fear that storm. Because this storm is going to be very scary." But everyone wanted to travel 600 kilometers to bring those medicines. But Seppala tactfully avoided answering. Then when Seppala goes outside, a doctor asks for a lift in the sled to go to the hospital. Seppala then rushed him to the hospital. Then when the officer looks through the hospital window, he sees many children who are very sick and in a very bad condition. And they cannot be saved without medicine. After that, when Seppala comes home, he says, "I will go to get medicine for the children." And hearing this, his wife says, "I don't want you to go on this trip risking your life for 600 kilometers. Then Seppala says, "I know all the children I saw in the hospital. I saw their smiling faces. But I can't see their lifeless faces. And I'll take Togo with me." Hearing this, his wife says, "Togo is now 12 years old and old. And you yourself said you can't cross 150 kilometers, and how do you want to take Togo on this 600 kilometers trip? Don't you love Togo too much? I don't want to be the cause of Togo's death." But Seppala doesn't want to leave without Togo. Because Togo is the smartest dog. So the next day Seppala said goodbye to his wife and left for medicine in Nome city. As the Seppala moves forward on the way, the storm is increasing. And there was so much snow in the storm that one could not see anything ahead. But Togo was first. And the officer from behind constantly asked the dogs to move forward because the city of Nome had to be reached. And have to come back to Alaska with the medicine again. That's when Togo suddenly stopped. Officers do not understand why Togo has stopped. But then when he goes ahead, he sees at the end of the hill ahead. Means they go wrong way due to storm. But Togo guesses this and Togo stops. And for Togo, the lives of the rest of the dogs including Seppala are saved. Then Seppala sees Togo's leg bleeding, and after traveling for a whole day, they reach an outpost. They rested there. And there was a lady doctor. She told the sergeant that Togo was very tired. Togo was not fit for such a long trip at this age. But the next morning, once again his leading dog Togo with the rest of the dogs moved forward through the terrible snowstorm. And on the other hand, we see the condition of the children in the hospital getting worse and worse. Meanwhile, the police are moving forward. And they are taking the shortcut so that they can reach the city of Nome as soon as possible. It is very dangerous to see a river of ice falling in front, and the storm is coming towards them. So takes his dogs over the ice on the river. And Togo is the first to lead the way. But the sled keeps breaking through the ice. But they don't stop. Finally they cross the river and reach another outpost, where they will spend the night. On the other hand, I see Seppala's wife goes to the mayor, and the mayor says that someone from Nome city will take that medicine. It has been sent to us. And we'll meet Seppala on the road. But Seppala's wife says Seppala will take a shortcut road. If you don't want to see that person, then it will continue to go. This will make his journey longer. This will put the police in more danger. On the other hand, I saw that the Seppala left for the next route in the morning. But Togo and the other dogs are in such bad condition that they don't want to stop. Meanwhile, since Seppala is taking a shortcut, the man from Nome is bringing medicine. If the Seppala does not meet with him, it will be unnecessary. The medicine will not reach on time and it will be counterproductive. The Seppala is very tired due to continuous travel. Sometimes he fell asleep. But his dog is constantly running at lightning speed. So the man from Nome city is coming to Seppala with medicine. He was going through the upper road. And he sees the officer and understands by seeing. This man seems to have come for medicine, so he calls the constable a lot from behind. But the constable is tired and sleepy and doesn't hear anything. He kept moving forward and could not hear clearly because of the wind and the storm. But Togo notices this. So the man thinks Seppala didn't hear his call and he gets disappointed. But he sees Seppala coming back. Actually Togo realizes this and stops. Now Seppala has the medicine she came so far for. The two stopped at an outpost. That man there says, "You leave Togo with me. His condition is very bad. Because I lost a lot of my dogs in this storm. I don't want you to lose Togo." But Seppala says Togo is my main dog. I can never return without him. Then Seppala started the return journey again. Again they come in front of the river of ice which they crossed a day before. But the ice of the river has broken because of their arrival. Again they cross this river. then a terrible situation can wear, then everyone will die. But if you leave this river, one more day will take more time, then the officer will take a decision after thinking a lot. Whatever happens must go over this river. And to go ahead. Togo is fearless and starts crossing quickly with all the dogs. But suddenly the ice burst and the water began to rise. And if they fall into the water, they will all die. So they somehow reach the edge of the river in a hurry. But before rising from the river, all the ice pieces are separated. And they fall into a piece of ice. And then the soldier picked up Togo and threw him on the river bank, and said, "You pull them so that the pieces of ice come to the river bank." Togo was already very injured and weak, and brought Kenara to the river. As a result, the lives of Seppala and the rest of the dogs are saved. However, they reach the outpost and the woman's doctor has seen Togo once before. Now see the eyes of the woman doctor. Then the officer asks the woman doctor what happened. The woman doctor says that you are in Togo's condition. Worse now. Seppala is very sad to hear this because he loves Togo so much. So Seppala is leaving for his town after spending the night at the outpost. But Seppala does not stop Togo as the leading dog this time. He puts him on the sled because Togo is sick and weak. But Togo has been mischievous since childhood. He gets out of the sled and stands in his position, meaning he won't sit down. So Seppala can understand that Togo still wants to lead everyone. He doesn't want to rest. Then Togo was tied to the front and started to move forward. Then after a long journey there was a terrible storm so that Seppala could see nothing and know nothing about the road. Seppala stopped the sledge and went to Togo and told him that it was such a storm that I can't see anything. I have no idea where the road is, and if we stay in the same place we will all be buried under the snow. So the Seppala gives all the responsibility to Togo and says, "You will show us this road and take the next outpost." Seppala lies down on the sled with his face covered and Togo continues to move forward, but after a few hours Togo sits down. Then Seppala sees Togo and all the dogs sit down. After reading, the officer goes to Togo and says, "We have to move forward. If we don't move forward we will all die here," but Togo is not responding to. Seppala thinks Togo is dead and then sees a light. And seeing Seppala, a man came towards him with a light. Actually Togo has done his job. Togo stopped at the next outpost. Togo comes to the next outpost with his maximum. Can't move anymore. Hey, seeing this, Seppala gets very emotional. Because Togo saved everyone's life today. So then everyone goes inside, but Togo is too dull and too tired to move. And the wife of Seppala sent one to forward the medicine from this outpost. So that Seppala and Togo slowly return home. And the medicine will reach the hospital immediately. So they rest at the outpost. And the next morning the man left for the city with the medicine and reached the non-city within a few hours. And there was already a reporter waiting for them at that place because this news reached New York. Because a man risked his life through a 600-kilometer ice storm to bring medicine to children. So the reporter thinks this is the man and this is the dog. And the reporter does it this way. Bolto and Togo, which is the cradle of none of the cities, have no name. And after hearing this news, Seppala's wife suffers a lot. Meanwhile, Seppala and his dog team have come to their city. All the dignitaries of the city, including the mayor, come to thank Seppala. And so does that child. One of the children asks Seppala, "What is Togo? He is dying and this is heart-touching." So he gets upset. And he goes out of the house. Then his wife follows him. He says to his wife, "This is Togo's situation for me today. I knew Togo is old. I didn't think it was right to take him. If I had not taken him, he would not have been in this situation." Then Seppala's wife says, "You say that any other dog could have done this work except Togo." Then the next scene shows Seppala and his dogs taking the sled to practice. But Togo is sick and he is not at home. He reaches out to Seppala. Then Seppala realizes that he doesn't just want to lead and spend time with Seppala. Togo recovers in a few weeks. Seppala is shown with Togo and his wife for a long time. After 2 years, Togo had many children. Many more master dog trainers came to take his pups, and these pups were given the name Seppala Siberian. Then Togo died in 1927. Even after Togo died, Seppala continued to train dogs. This movie is based on a true story, and this message is given by the movie. A pet that never misbehaved.